the Detroit Lions had a very rough start to the year. I think that is very clear at this point. But what they did during their losing was build character, toughness, and a culture that will carry them and even soar them into the future. What's up, guys? Everything NFL here, and today we're going to be talking about Dan Campbell and how he really is the future of the head coaching job for the Lions, and he has established a great culture that the players love and embrace it very well, and he is going to be the one to bring the Lions to success in the near future, and let's get into it. Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes were signed at the beginning of last offseason. I personally thought their draft selections were pretty good overall. Sewell had some growing pains the first couple of weeks, but since week 6, when Decker came back so he could play right tackle, his normal position, he has been great. He has been the second highest graded tackle in the entire NFL. And it makes sense, really, because he trained to be a right tackle in the NFL the whole entire offseason. So when Decker had an unexpected injury and he had to play left tackle for the first couple weeks, he's going to have some growing pains. And he was the youngest player in the draft, so that also makes sense. He's currently only 20 years old, and he turned 20 a couple weeks before the draft. So like a month before the draft, he was just a 19-year-old preparing to be in the NFL. And he was the youngest player in the draft. And he will be a great player going forward. He already is, but I think this season is just showing the potential of what he can be in the future. And our second and third round picks have shown flashes, and I think at least 2 out of the 3 second and third round picks will be solid starters for us in the future. But our fourth round pick, Amon-Ra St. Brown, we really had a home run with that pick. And there's one game left in the season, and he has about 800 yards, 85 catches, and 4 touchdowns. And he's been actually a really good player in the backfield. He has what the Lions like to do when we're in trouble is just like put him in the backfield, because with the injuries that have been happening of late, he's basically our best offensive player right now. And 800 yards and 4 touchdowns and 85 catches, it's not record-breaking, but he didn't really start until a couple weeks ago. And since then, he's been very dominant. He really reminds me of a young Golden Tate. And to show what 800 yards is like for comparison to other rookie receivers, he was the 17th receiver taken and 18th receiver taken if you count Kyle Pitts. But he is 5th in receiving yards and 2nd in receptions among all rookies. And honestly, I think next year he'll be like, he's capable of being a Pro Bowl talent next year, in my opinion. And everyone ahead of him in those stats, like the 4 people that are ahead of him in receiving yards and Jalen Waddle ahead of him in receptions, they were all in the first round. Like Chase and Devontae Smith and Waddle, they were all like top 6 selections. So it makes sense. And they've been starting the entire year. If Amon-Ra St. Brown was starting this entire year, he would be like in first place by far. Well, maybe not to Chase, but everyone else definitely. And our other 4th round pick, Derek Barnes, I think he has a bright future as well. He's been a little bit inconsistent this year because he's been very good at sometimes, but other times he's definitely shown you why he fell a little bit in the draft and why he's a rookie. And our 7th round pick, running back selection, Jermar Jefferson, he's nothing special, but I think he will be a suitable backup for DeAndre Swift and Jamal Williams for a while. But what I really liked about Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes is the undrafted rookies that they got this year. They have all went well, pretty much all of them have went above and beyond expectations. There's two that I'm thinking of in particular, Jerry Jacobs and Craig Reynolds. Jerry Jacobs, he is a cornerback out of Arkansas, and he's been a very reliable corner for us, especially with all of the injuries that we've had, including Akuda. But he's been a very reliable corner when we needed someone to step up, and he's definitely been one of those guys that have stepped up. He's been among the top 20 cornerbacks according to PFF. And another undrafted player I think that I have to talk about is Craig Reynolds. And now with Swift and Williams back, his role is a little bit more limited. But when we didn't have like a running back for a couple weeks, we pulled him up from our practice squad, and he just performed. He had a 100-yard game, and I think he had another one with like 86. And he was just a reliable running back when we needed one the most. And I think we'll keep him on our roster. And I think he might even beat out Jermar Jefferson eventually, our 7th-round pick. And I think we might have a tough decision to make next year. And next year on our offensive coordinator, I think Anthony Lynn will be replaced next year because the Lions improved drastically when Dan Campbell started calling the plays. But on the other side of the ball, Aaron Glenn, our defensive coordinator, I've loved what he's done personally, and I don't know a single person who hasn't absolutely loved what he's done with our defense. Last year we were the last ranked defense out of the entire NFL. And this year we're the 25th ranked defense, but that is with way less talent. This year half of our team is injured, and we lost a majority of our team last year to free agency, and we ended up letting a lot of guys go last year. And under Aaron Glenn, our players just seem to have a fight that our players under Patricia just didn't have. Because, Patricia was supposedly a defensive-minded coach. Everyone hated him, and he wasn't a good coach. So I just love that our players love Aaron Glenn, love our coaching staff, and they're willing to do anything for them. And they just have so much more fight than they did last year altogether. And this is the most fight I've seen on a Lions team in a long time. But as a result of losing so many players last year, we had to pick up a good amount of free agents. But our strategy for signing them was waiting till all the big names go away and then signing a lot of potentially good players to 1-year prove-it deals. And some of those deals that have paid off are Alex Anzalone, Khalif Raymond, Josh Reynolds, and Evan Brown, the center. He's been a great fill-in for Frank Ragnow when Frank Ragnow's been out for the year. Dean Marlowe, Charles Harris, he's our sack leader for this year. And Jamal Williams, we signed him on a 2-year deal, and he's been a great 1-2 punch with DeAndre Swift. But I've seen great progression throughout the year, and two players that I was really sad that we lost last year was Kenny Golladay and Marvin Jones. And we went into the draft and free agency with everyone saying that our wide receivers were the biggest need. But honestly, they're more of a luxury pick in my opinion. So everyone wanted us to take either Devontae Smith or Jalen Waddle, whoever was there, or maybe even pick up a big player like Juju Smith-Schuster in free agency. But we didn't even need to do that, and the wide receiver situation has kind of taken care of itself. I mean, I still think that we're going to draft a wide receiver a little bit higher in this year's draft, but Amon-Ra St. Brown, Khalif Raymond, and Josh Reynolds, they have been a pretty solid triple of wide receivers, in my opinion. But now we're going to talk about a little bit more of a hot topic in Detroit right now, and that is our quarterback situation. Since Goff came back from his injury, he has been a solid quarterback. And since returning, he even has the 3rd highest QBR in the entire NFL. But since Thanksgiving, he has 900 yards, 9 touchdowns, and only 2 picks. And that is way better by, like, compared to the beginning of the year for him. And I love that he is finishing the year strong. And if we had him for the Falcons game, we would have won. Because he wouldn't make that mistake that Tim Boyle made, and we would have scored a touchdown on that drive. And everyone will be in the comments saying that he had a terrible start to the year. And I agree. He had a very rough start to the year. He was only throwing checkdowns, very short passes, and he was still making mistakes. And it made our offense kind of stagnant. But my theory is when he was hurt and he was able to watch the game from the sideline, it really kind of helped him understand and, like, really understand and maybe even recover, because I thought he was playing a little bit hurt for that bad part of the year anyway. But also watching from the sideline and a coaching point of view kind of helped him learn how to run the offense and how not to make those mistakes and be able to take some shots that paid off. But if you think I'm saying he's the next great quarterback in the NFL, I'm not. All I'm saying is that the Lions don't need to feel compelled to go out on draft day and reach for a quarterback that could end up being a wasted pick. Because we have a lot bigger needs than quarterback right now. Jared Goff is arguably one of the better starters on our team, and that just shows how much we need to develop this team and get more talented players to be a good team, and I think we can in the next couple years. But reaching for a quarterback it's not really the tone our regime, Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes, want to set, and it's a very weak class. So unless you could somehow get like Kenny Pickett with our second first-round pick, which I don't think we will, he's gone, like, I've seen him going as high as like number 5 overall. And any other quarterback I feel would be an extreme reach compared to the quarterbacks that went last year and will go next year. But Jared Goff is a quarterback that plays in streaks. And what I mean by that is sometimes he is hotter than fire, and other times he's colder than ice. So I do think we need to put a little bit of pressure on him and maybe get like a last resort alternative. So maybe get a quarterback like Gardner Minshew this offseason. So Goff, like, he feels the pressure to perform, but he knows, like, he has the stability, like, to take a couple shots and take a couple chances. Because when Goff isn't confident, we know that it's not very good. And I'm excited what we will do with our draft picks this year and the next couple years, because we got a couple good draft picks from the Rams. First rounder this year, first rounder next year. And I still think this year for the Lions is a best player available draft. So I think Hutchinson or Thibodeau would be a great pick for our first one. Because right now, I think Evan Neal will go number 1 overall. Because the Jaguars, they put, like, Trevor Lawrence, he's such a valuable asset for the Jaguars. And they just need to protect him if they have any chance of trying to make him a superstar quarterback in this league. And so I think ultimately the Lions will have the choice between Thibodeau or Hutchinson. I don't think we will draft a quarterback this year, like I said a little bit earlier. I think we will draft a wide receiver with our late first-round pick or second, or either with our late first-round pick all the way up to our third-round pick, whichever wide receiver we like the best, because Brad Holmes has shown that he can get good wide receiver talent with, like, not super high draft picks. Like Khalif Raymond, Josh Reynolds, and Amon-Ra St. Brown, really. Like, that's a decent wide receiver core. Amon-Ra St. Brown has really shown that he can be the number 1 wide receiver in this offense. And I think we will continue to play him on our inside and have him in the slot. So I think we will draft an outside receiver this year, like a little bit bigger guy who can go up and get it. And other than that, though, I think this will be a defensive draft because our defense Aaron Glenn, I hope he can stay on this team so bad. I think he's such a good coach. He's interviewed for the Denver Broncos head coaching job. And I just think he's done so much to our defense when we didn't even have that much talent. And because other than wide receiver and maybe quarterback, our offense is pretty set. Like, I know a lot of people might not think that, but we have a great O-line, especially in Frank Ragnow, our Pro Bowl center returns. And we have a Pro Bowl tight end, a solid backfield with DeAndre Swift and Jamal Williams. So I think we'll put a lot of attention into defense this year. But ultimately, I think we have shown promise, and that's what's important about this year. So many other 0-10-1 teams, like at that point of the season, would have just given up on the season and just try to tank for the number 1 overall pick. But you can see the difference between us and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Like, we have a lot of fight. And the fact that we had the drive to beat, like, some very good teams this year, like, it just shows you what this team is about and what we're going to try to do in the future. Like, we beat the best record in the NFL at the time. We beat the Cardinals, and, like, when no one expected us to. And we absolutely owned them. And then we beat the Packers, and I know what a lot of you guys are going to be saying. Their starters didn't play in the entire second half. But even in the first half, we were winning at halftime. And that just tells you about Dan Campbell and how great of a coach he is, because he pulled out every single one of his best plays. Like, he could have easily tried tanking there and tried to get the number 1 overall pick. But he wants to develop a winning culture. And he is a great coach, but most of all, he is a great leader of men who is going to carry this team forward. And I'm pretty much going to wrap it up on that note. And if you like this Lions content, let me know down in the comments, because it's ultimately up to you guys how much more of this I do. But if you're looking for a full-time Lions channel, check out Let's Talk Lions. He makes great Lions content and gives you very frequent updates and gives you everything that you need to know for the Lions and more. But if you enjoyed this video, please smash the thumbs up button and check out some more of my content, because I have a lot of content just like this that I think you'll like. And that's pretty much it for this video. See you next time.